framework is complete. But will Putin agree? President Donald Trump said that Zelensky met at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida to push efforts towards ending the war in Ukraine. Both leaders described the talks as productive and said progress has been made on a peace plan. We've heard that before, right? With Trump suggesting the sides are closer than ever to a deal, and Zelensky is highlighting strong U.S. security guarantees. However, significant disagreement remains, particularly over territory and security arrangements, and no final agreement was reached yet. The question is, will Putin agree to a peace agreement?
Detail today, and it was an honor to have you at Mar-a-Lago and have lunch. I hope you enjoyed the food. Your people enjoyed the food, I can tell you that. You're big, strong people. Your general over there looks like central casting. I want to also, by the way, speaking of generals, we have a great general, General Raising Cane, who's here someplace. Thank you, General. Thank you very much. He's great. So, Mr. President, maybe you want to say a few words, and then we'll speak over the next couple of weeks. We'll speak probably quite a bit, but we'll speak tomorrow. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything. Dear colleagues, first of all, I would like to thank President Trump for a great meeting at this amazing place in his home in Mar-a-Lago. And we had a really great discussions on all the topics, and we appreciate the progress that was made by American and Ukrainian teams in these recent weeks. Special thanks to Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, and thank you to for their engagement and full commitment, and also to our team, and first of all to Rustem Umerov and General Gnatov, and to all our teams. And we discussed all the aspects of the peace framework, which includes, and we have great achievements, 20-point peace plan, 90% agreed, and US-Ukraine security guarantees 100% agreed. US, Europe, Ukraine security guarantees almost agreed. Military dimension 100% agreed. Prosperity plan being finalized, and we also discussed the sequencing of the following actions. And we agree that security guarantees is a key milestone in achieving lasting peace, and our teams will continue working on all aspects. We also had a joint productive call with European leaders, like President Trump said already, and a lot of leaders, including NATO and EU. And we agreed that our teams will meet in upcoming weeks to finalize all discussed matters. And we agreed with President Trump that he will host us, and maybe in Washington, European leaders and Ukrainian delegation, yes, in January. And Ukraine is ready for peace. And once again, would like to thank President Trump for a warm welcome and substantial discussion. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Any questions, please?
The U.S. Ukraine security guarantees, what number are we at right now?
Well, I think you can say 95%, but I don't like to say percentages. I just think we're doing very well. We could be very close. There are one or two very thorny issues, very tough issues, but I think we're doing very well. We made a lot of progress today, but really we've made it over the last month. This is not a one-day process deal. This is very complicated stuff, but I think when the president says 95, I think, could be close to 95%. Yeah, please, and behind you.
Mr. President, have you agreed on the so-called free trade zone on Donbass? How to separate the sites? How to make the separation line? Who will be responsible?
The word agreed is too strong. I would say not agreed, but we're getting closer to an agreement on that, and that's a big issue. Certainly, that's one of the big issues, and I think we're closer than we're probably one. It's unresolved, but it's getting a lot closer. That's.
Say hello to Arnicare Pain Relief Gel. Arnicare is America's
Hey, you guys. Well, anyway, there's a lot going on. If anybody could get it done, I believe it's going to be President Trump. So there's
tough issue, but one that I think will get resolved. Yeah, please.
We are receiving some mixed signals coming from Moscow, even after you spoke with President Putin. Can you assure us that you have received written or any formal response from them.
Well, what was the issue? You have to tell me. What did they say?
So they are telling that Ukraine has to give up Donbass. Just very recent statement coming out.
Well, that's what they've been asking for, and there's a dispute about that. So they're going to have to iron that out. That's an issue they have to iron out. But I think it's moving in the right direction.
Do they reject or delay the solution or peace agreement that you try to achieve?
If something doesn't happen, you mean if something doesn't happen? Yeah, go ahead.
May I ask?
No, go ahead. You were going to finish your
Will there be
question.
any step that the United States will prepare?
Well, we'll see. Look, we'll see. But I don't want to talk about that because I think we're getting pretty close. Yes, please.
May I ask the President of Ukraine
Please.
about territorial question? Mr. President, what is your take on Donbass status? Are you prepared to see it as a free economic or demilitarized zone?
No, we spoke about 20 points planned, and I'm happy that really our team's very close to results. And I agree with President Trump that our teams worked not one day and not one week, more than 1 month, beginning from Geneva, then 2 meetings in Miami, then we had Berlin, and now we have Mar-a-Lago. So this is a very difficult question. You know our position, so it's we have to respect our law and our people, and we respect the territory which we control. And of course, our attitude is very clear. That's why President Trump said this is a very tough question. And of course, we have with Russians different positions on it.
And have you discussed referenda about?
When we speak about referendum, we spoke that it's one of the key. We can have referendum on any kind of points of this plan. I said that we can use referendum like for the plan, or we cannot use referendum. It's one of the key. We can use this possibility of parliament to vote according to the law or to have referendum. Doesn't matter. This referendum, if the plan will be very difficult for our society, very difficult, of course our society has to choose and has to vote because it's their land, the land not of one person, it's the land of our nation for a lot of generations.
They'll probably have to get their plan approved by parliament or by referendum of the people. You would think that they want, I know they had a poll that it's 91% in favor of ending this war, so they want to end it. Like everybody wants. Russia wants it ended, everybody wants it ended. So, and we want it ended. I want it ended because I don't want to see so many people dying. We're losing, massive numbers of people. The biggest by far since World War II. So we want to see it ended, absolutely.
President,
Yes.
so you said at the top that you plan to speak again tomorrow, is that correct?
I might. It depends on what happens tomorrow. If there's an additional something to add, otherwise there's no reason to. We're in the process. Jared and Steve are working very hard to get something done. And if there's something that comes up, I'd speak. But otherwise, I don't think there's any reason to.
In your mind, sir, what are the thorniest issues still unresolved after the?
Well, I think the land you're talking about. Some of that land has been taken. Some of that land is maybe up for grabs, but it may be taken over the next period of a number of months, and you're better off making a deal now. Look, let me tell you, they have been very brave. They fought very hard and continue to fight very hard and do tremendous damage. But Russia would like to see it end, and Ukraine would like to see it. And I think it's time to end. And a lot of very brave people, a lot of people are dead right now, unfortunately, because I've said, and nobody's disputed it, that if the election weren't rigged and stolen, 2020, you wouldn't have had this war, would have never happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years, never was even thought to happen. And I spoke with President Putin. I got along with him very well, despite the Russia hoax, which was a total hoax. He used to say, what is going on over there? But it was a total hoax, as he knew and as I knew. But I spoke to him, and we'd talk about Ukraine. I've said it before. It was the apple of his eye, but he wasn't going to do anything about it. He didn't do anything about it until I was gone, and then a lot of really bad statements were made by people. By a lot of people, I guess, but by a certain president that we had, who was a disaster. Yes.
Anticipate going to Ukraine if you can get to an agreement. And I
have no problem with doing it. I have no problem with doing it. We don't anticipate it. Would like to get the deal done and not necessarily have to go. I've offered to go and speak to their parliament And, if that would help, I don't know if that would help. I think it would probably help, but I don't even know if that's.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, I know.
Always.
So I'm not sure that it would be really necessary, but if it would help save 25,000 lives a month or whatever it may be, I would certainly be willing to do that. Yeah, please. No, behind you.
And how about
Where are you from?
from Ukraine?
Good, I had a feeling.
Public broadcaster.
Good.
And how about Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant? Have you discussed this question?
On what?
Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant.
Yeah, we discussed that at length today. As you know, it's in pretty good shape. It can start up immediately, almost immediately. And it's one of the things I discussed with President Putin. And they were talking about the nuclear plant. That's probably the biggest in the world, just about the biggest anywhere in the world. Can you believe that? And President Putin's actually working with Ukraine on getting it open. He's been very good in that sense. He wants to see that open.
Wow. The way that I look at it right now, President Trump had a meeting with Zelenskyy today, and he had a meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu. And all these meetings that are going on, and then right now you have China is upset that that our government has given $11.1 billion worth, I believe, weapons to Taiwan. And now they are outside in their areas conducting like different activities like war. So I hope to God that we don't dig a bigger hole for ourselves, whereas this been going on for a while, for the last maybe up to like 4 years now, what's going on with this war between Russia and Ukraine. And right now they came up with a 20 plan deal, peace deal to end this war. But that's with Zelenskyy, the United States, and perhaps the EU. But the whole thing is, will Putin agree to any of this? Because right now, Putin is bombing away. So it's like we're so focused on the rest of the world when actually we have a lot of our own problems right now. We really do. And something else occurred today, and I'm gonna bring this up, and I want us to get into a discussion. Like, as Americans, where are we at with us still lending our president out to the world?
Probably the worst gang. They cut off people's fingers. One man made a phone call to complain about them. He cut off their hand. They cut off his hand. Don't ever make a
I want
phone.
to go back to this. That's not what I want.
Oh, we're already starting certain things. We're doing things for sanitary conditions and others. But Gaza's a tough place. You know the expression, it's a tough neighborhood. It's truly a tough neighborhood. Yeah, you had a question in the back? Go ahead. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Asking about the relationship between you and the Prime Minister.
What about it?
They said that there is no relationship, good relationship between you.
I don't think it can be better. We just won a big war together. You know, if we didn't beat Iran, you wouldn't have had peace in the Middle East, because nobody would have been able, the Arab countries who have been fantastic, would not have been able to make a deal. If we didn't wipe out their nuclear, we wiped it out. If we didn't wipe out with our beautiful B-2 bombers, if we didn't, and we sent a lot of Tomahawks in there also, by the way, from a submarine.
And what about the pardon that the President of Israel needs to give the Prime Minister?
A pardon? Oh, I think you will. How do you not? He's a wartime prime minister who's a hero. How do you not give a pardon? You know, I think it's a very hard thing not to do it. I spoke to the president, and it's on, I mean, he tells me it's on its way.
Mr.
You can't do better than that, right? Please.
Can I follow up on Venezuela? Was the facility taken out by the U.S. military, or was it another entity like the CIA?
Well, I don't want to say that. I know exactly who it was, but I don't want to say who it was. But you know, it was along the shore.
Mr. President, have you or any of your delegation talked to Maduro recent days?
Well, I spoke to him.
Recently?
Pretty recent. Reasonably, but nothing much comes of it, yeah.
Mr. President, can you explain the importance?
You have to understand what he's done. They've sent billions of dollars of drugs in. But maybe just as bad, they've sent hundreds of thousands of people in from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions and insane asylums. The drug lords, the drug dealers were all sent into our country. But think of it, what he's done. Tren de Aragua, probably the worst gang. They cut off people's fingers. One man made a phone call to complain about them. He cut off their hand. They cut off his hand. Don't ever make a phone call again. We'll cut off your head. After that, we'll kill you, they said. That was in Colorado. No, they sent in all of the bad ones. They sent in some bad people. And that to me was just terrible. And they sent in drugs. Now, I will say this. 97% of the drugs coming in by sea stopped. We're trying to figure out who the other 3% are. They have a hard time getting people to pilot those boats. But 97% of the drugs coming in by the ocean, by the sea, because some of them think it's terrible, it's a bribe. But, you know, a bribe for $25, I don't know. If you'd like, you can go, and if you don't, you can stand in a driveway and melt. All right? But if you want, will you work on that, Margot? Is Margot doing a good job? She's a star. She's too nice. Her only problem, she's too nice to you. And you're not nice to us, but that's okay. Margot, take them up and have a beautiful lunch, and we'll see you later.
He alleged strike on Putin's residence, but scuttled the peace.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's not good. I heard about it this morning. You know who told me about it? President Putin told me about it. Early in the morning, he said he was attacked. It's no good. It's no good. Don't forget, you know, the Tomahawks. I stopped the Tomahawks. I didn't want that. Because we're talking about, you know, it's a delicate period of time. This is not the right time. It's one thing to be offensive, because they're offensive. It's another thing to attack his house. It's not the right time to do any of that, and can't do it. And I learned about it from President Putin today. I was very angry about it. What? Well, it came out, well, we'll find out. I mean, you're saying maybe the attack didn't take place. It's possible too, I guess, but President Putin told me this morning it did.
One question, Mr. President, can you expound on the importance of a strong relationship with the state of Israel? And Mr. Prime Minister, you call President Trump the strongest friend for the state of Israel. You work with numerous...
This is crazy. They're doing peace talks, and during the peace talks, they're saying that Putin's house was, I think it was 91 drones that attacked his house that was shot down, while Zelensky's had Mar-a-Lago with President Trump. So it looks like they tried to take him out, but right now it's hearsay. But President Trump said that he received a phone call from President Putin prior to his meeting with Zelensky saying that his residence was attacked. So there is a lot that's going on that we don't know about. I don't believe that Russia is all the way in 10 toes down with any peace agreement, because as we speak, they still have been bombing the crap out of Ukraine. And now they're saying that they retaliated by trying to attack Putin's home. So I don't believe personally that we're near to ending their war. But my concerns is that President Trump ran on America first, taking care of American problems. We have our own problems. We have $38 trillion worth of debt. We're printing money. The value of the dollar is being devalued every day. We have food insecurities for people that were on SNAP, while we sent $40 billion to Argentina. So we have our job market, they say, is doing better, but there are a lot of people that are out of work, and I'm not talking about McDonald's, I'm talking about living wage jobs. So I believe that the president has his hands full with American issues. Like, it's so much that needs to be done here to bring America back to its glory. And one thing, I guess he wants the war to end in Ukraine and Russia, because America cannot continue funding the war in Ukraine. We can't. We don't have the money to fund it. They're trying to find money now, and things are being worked out that us taxpayers and citizens, and if you have equity in your homes, and they talk about a lot of things, I mean, this is not the show for it, that's going on that's going to affect Americans perhaps heavily because of that $38 trillion deficit that we have right now. That has to be handled. We can't just keep printing money and we're not paying debt. So we can't afford to fund the war, and plus we can't empty out our weapons, our tanks, because we got other stuff on the horizon that's going on with China right now and Taiwan. So in Taiwan, we're their allies. We are their allies. We're not allies to Ukraine. We're allies to Taiwan. So our resources are being emptied out as we speak. So if they don't bring an end to the war, it's like, how long will America be able to support Ukraine? It's a thing about support. We're the strongest nation that's standing behind them right now. Europe, the EU did nothing. The whole time the war was going on, prior to Trump taking office, January the 20th of this year, 2025, there were no peace negotiations. There was no communications. Nobody was talking to Putin. Nobody was talking to Zelenskyy. No one was doing anything until Trump got sworn into office. By then, Putin has already taken some of the land, and now he already feels empowered. He's like, why should I stop when I can take all of this? It's not like, after all, he's the second most powerful country in the world. Who are they? After all, he has allies like China. What is it? How many people are there? A billion of them? The third most powerful country in the world, China. I mean, so they have their allies. Don't forget about President of North Korea. They're all allies. So we're standing strong, and America is strong. America is the strongest country in the world, but we can't take all of them on. And then what are we going to do? We're going to blow this thing up because they ran out of bodies. They don't have the soldiers at this point. It's been over 100 American civilians or whatever that went over there that lost their lives fighting the Ukrainian war, but it's not our war. This isn't our war. This isn't our war. And we have our hands in all these wars that Trump is saying from that has ended. Like his list goes on and on. He talk about the Pakistan and India, the Iraq and Gaza, Iran and Gaza war. He talks about all these, the Nigeria, the Rwanda and Congo war, all these different wars that he says that he's had a hand in ending. But when are we going to get back to our country? Our country in itself and forces do need to be built up. And if there isn't a deal, if this is an endless war, how long are we going to be able to support Ukraine when we have our own problems here in the United States of America? And that's why, for their sake, it needs to be agreement. They say Russia is taking a hit. Ukraine is taking a hit. United States, we are doing everything that we can for Ukraine, except for fight their war. Because Trump is concerned, he's saying 25,000 of them are dying. I don't know if it's a week or he said a month. He wants it to end because lives are being lost. So if he cares about their lives, he certainly cares about American lives. He's not going to send our young men and women to fight a war for another country. For another country. Especially an endless war. And if he was to do that, if he were to do that, China has 1 billion people. We could never outnumber China. What is it, 382 million Americans? China got 1 billion people. They have endless people that can fight. We don't even have boots on the ground like that. So but in wartime, it has to be a negotiation. Something has to be negotiated because we can't carry it for them. We can't carry it for them. Let's see what the Today Show has to say. You know, we can't fight for them and we can carry it. We've been supporting them, but what are we going to do? What's the long game?
renewed optimism that the war between Russia and Ukraine could soon be over.
I do think we're getting a lot closer, maybe very close.
But it comes despite relentless Russian strikes, including a fierce attack on Kyiv this weekend, the day before Trump's face-to-face meeting at Mar-a-Lago with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Trump calling European leaders hoping to broker a ceasefire.
There are one or two very thorny issues, very tough issues, but I think we're doing very well.
Among those thorny issues, land. Zelenskyy signaling willingness to compromise on control of the key Donbass region in eastern Ukraine. If Russia pulls back its forces there, Zelenskyy says he'd be open to a demilitarized zone, but only if Ukrainians vote for it. A huge if.
Our society has to choose and has to vote because it's their land.
Another sticking point, Europe's largest nuclear power plant in Ukraine, under Russian control since 2022.
And President Putin is actually working with Ukraine on getting it open.
Earlier, President Trump speaking by phone with Russia's Vladimir Putin for 2 hours and saying this about Putin's intentions, despite his invasion of Ukraine nearly 4 years ago.
President Putin was very generous in his feeling toward Ukraine succeeding.
Trump also saying Putin is open to meeting with Zelenskyy.
He wants to see it. He told me very strongly. I believe him.
But this morning, Ukraine's leader is warning that Putin can't be trusted, saying he told Trump that Putin's actions often don't match his words. Zelenskyy also telling reporters today that the peace plan would include 15 years of security guarantees or protections from other countries against Russia, but adding that he asked Trump to extend those guarantees to 50 years. President Trump, according to Zelenskyy, saying he would think about it. Later today, President Trump turning his attention to another global conflict. He's expected to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the 6th time this year. The U.S. aiming to push ahead with Phase 2 of the Gaza ceasefire, which would include the withdrawal of more Israeli forces. The meeting comes amid escalating tensions with Iran. Laura?
All right, Gabe Gutierrez, thank you.
Well, we want to look at what this poll is saying so far. We have 254 votes. Will President Putin agree to end the war? 20% said yes, and 64% said no, and 16% said maybe. So that's people's sentiments, like how people feel. It's like, I really don't feel like or believe that Putin wants the war to end. I think that this is just a lot of gaslighting right now that's going on, maybe between both leaders. I don't know how committed Zelenskyy is, because Zelenskyy loves being president, if you guys don't realize it or not. And the only reason why he still is the president of Ukraine is because during a war, they can't have an election. So they was supposed to have an election, like I believe a few years ago, 2 years ago at least. And it hasn't happened. So I think he likes the power. I think he likes being with the other world leaders. And right now, Ukraine, I believe, what's the size of Ukraine in comparison to Texas? It's like this one country could ignite a World War III. It could, because you have all the world involved in what's going on in Ukraine right now. The entire world is involved. All of the power hitters are involved. So we do need peace. Peace needs to be discussed. And a lot of people have a problem with Trump being the mediator. But guess what? Who tried to speak to Putin prior to Trump? President Biden didn't try to talk to President Putin, or Vice President Kamala, who was trying to bring it in or prevent the war from beginning in the first place. Trump is famous. He says it every chance he get. It would have never happened if I was the president. If I was the president, this would have never taken place. Well, he wasn't the president. Former President Biden was the president. What did they do to prevent the war from starting in the first place? And now he has the task of trying to bring these leaders together, because first of all, Putin is a man's man. He has to respect the other leader. He doesn't respect Zelenskyy at all. He doesn't respect him at all. He doesn't care what he says. And Putin is his own leader. He's going to do whatever he wants to do. So President Trump being involved is the only gateway to negotiations right now. And if they do meet, if they all come together to meet, like President Trump is saying, let's have them back in Mar-a-Lago, the EU or whatever, let them come there and they all talk about it. It doesn't matter the plan that Zelenskyy came up with if it's not what Putin wants. It can't, it's never going to be one-sided. He's going to leave with something. He's not going to allow all those people, all those countrymen to die, all those people lost their lives, all the bombing, all of this to go on, and he doesn't, have they got some sort of deal for Putin, or he's going to continue to fighting. This is what I personally believe. I don't know if this is the case, but just from past experience and just looking at the way that he carries himself, that when he sets out to get something, he didn't start a war with Ukraine to get nothing out of it. So Ukraine is going to be able to keep most of their country intact. And Putin will probably get a little strip of it. He's going to get it. He's going to get it. That's the only way this war is going to end. He's going to get something out of it. He will. It's what the Ukrainians are going to agree upon. Do they want to keep fighting for land, or do they want to fight for the lives of their countrymen? Because they're running out of people to fight the war, because they said it was kidnapping people actually off the streets and making them fight in a war. And they said that it's like a field. There's nothing to hide behind. So the people can't even take cover there. I guess you fight until you die. That's the outcome. They keep sending you back out there. But it has to be an end game. It has to be a way to end this war. There has to be a way. And I guess, like, if Trump steps out of it, they're going to fight it out to the last man standing. If the United States say, okay, we did all we can do. We're giving all the money that we can give to Ukraine. We supported Ukraine. We tried to negotiate for Ukraine. We tried to bring everyone to the table, Putin and his dignitaries and allies, and Zelenskyy and his party, the EU. We try to bring everyone together. But if no one is willing to compromise, this war is not going to end. And more loss is going to happen. Not just buildings and structures, but lives. And then they're talking about rebuilding. Who's going to pay for that? And then they're talking about the United States is guaranteeing we're guaranteeing security guarantees 100%. What does that mean? What does that mean? We need what is he saying? So it has to be some kind of, like, what does that mean? What can we do? What else can we do? We're not trying to fight their war. Their war for this war that's an endless war. You have to negotiate at this point. United States will only be putting itself into somebody else's fight, that then it'll become our citizens that will be losing their lives. And then, United States get involved, that will be World War III. Because China is just itching to go and attack Taiwan. So we're on the verge of a lot of things kicking off right now. And all of this negotiations that's going on, that there has to be some sort of remedy. And people are walking around acting like, they don't want Trump to be involved. Trump needs to be involved. He needs to be involved, because who else is leading the talks? He shouldn't even be involved. We got our own problems. Trump shouldn't even be involved. It's like the United States has to solve the world's problems when who's solving our problems? We have so many problems here in the United States of America. That's why people voted for Trump. They want America first. They wanted our president of the United States to focus on our homeland issues, things that's happening in our country. He's been flying abroad and he's been spending a whole lot of time out of the country with all these other diplomatic things that are going on around the world. While the citizens of this country are saying, like, we can't buy houses. They talking about interest rate, inflation. They're talking about, he talked a lot about illegal immigration, closing the borders. It's a lot of things that are happening inside of our country. There's a lot of things that are going on that it's like we're not even ready for all of this. We need to get ourselves together first. You know how they say, first you got God help them to help. You got to help yourself. Get yourself together before you can help someone else. But it's already happening. So we have to come to some negotiation and we have to have some sort of plan, because we can't continue to hold down Ukraine at the level that they need. And that's why Trump is negotiating, so that they're not left hanging. Because what has the EU done for them that we haven't done? Actually, we have given more than the EU. Trump came along and said, why are we doing more? And y'all right over there, and y'all haven't been holding down your own weight. Russia's right there next to y'all. Y'all still buying Russian oil. They still buying Russian oil. This is crazy. So there's a lot that needs to be done, but people want United States. Like, what are we supposed to do? Start World War III for Ukraine? I mean, what are we supposed to do? And it's not no one-way fight. People have to realize it's never a one-way fight. Russia's going to hit back, and they can hit back hard. They can hit back. They can fight if they really wanted to. They got those nuclear bombs they could drop. They can fight back. And then China's just right there. They're the allies to Russia. I'd rather for them to be our allies. Then we wouldn't have a problem with Russia. But they're not. They're standing with Russia. And that's powerful. That's really powerful. And they know it. They know it. When they had their leadership meeting, Trump wasn't there. When the India's president and President Putin, President and President Xi, all of them met together at a leadership meeting. It's crazy. And Ukraine, they denied the drones that attacked Putin's residence. Who's telling the truth? How are we to know if they didn't set up that Zelensky's here in the United States, he's at Mar-a-Lago with Trump, but somehow they're saying that Putin's residence was being attacked? It sounds like something out of a movie. But how do we know that Putin not just saying that? This because to stir the pot more so the peace negotiations will not go through. So there's a lot of players in like what's happening, and you want to be on the right side. But one thing about it, like Zelensky, he wanted the 50-year security demands for a ceasefire. We can't agree to that. I think Trump said something about a 15-year, maybe, agreement. But Trump is talking back and forth with Russia. He's talking to Ukraine. He's talking to all these different people. He met with the Prime Minister of Israel. So he has all these, and they got their war going on with Gaza. It's crazy, right? We're going into 2026 on Wednesday. It's going to be New Year's Eve. Thursday is a new year. So we've got a lot of cleaning up to do. And there's a lot that's going on. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Yeah, I don't think Putin's going to uphold an agreement. I don't. It doesn't matter what Zelensky and them come up with. I mean, I don't think, like right now, we're going to have to really hit Putin harder with these sanctions, because if we don't, he's not going to stop doing what he's doing. We got to hurt him other ways, or this is going to continue.
Our meeting was excellent. We covered somebody would say 95%. I don't know what percent, but we have made a lot of progress on ending that war.
We discussed all the aspects of the peace framework, which includes, and we have great achievements, 20-point peace plan, 90% agreed. And we agreed that security guarantees is a key milestone in achieving lasting peace.
President Trump confirming yesterday a deal to end Russia's war on Ukraine is closer than ever to cap off a year of what he calls impressive foreign policy peace deals. Fox News contributor and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo joins us now to break this all down. Well, Mr. Secretary, it's great to see you. Hope you had a great Christmas with your family. Let's pop up on the screen just a list of some of these conflicts that the administration had a hand in facilitating a conclusion or a peace deal. You can see them there on the screen. When you look at this conflict, though, in Ukraine, it's been intractable. We've heard this optimistic language now for months about getting close to a deal. What are the principles from those other peace agreements that might apply to Russia and Ukraine?
Well, God, good morning. Great to be with you as well. Hope you had a great Christmas. Look, I listened to the press conference carefully yesterday. You're right about President Trump's now, almost first full year in office. Tremendous progress in bringing peace in many parts of the world. This one is simply different. The adversary here, Vladimir Putin, has, to best I can tell, conceded literally nothing to date. And while they say there's 90% agreement, I doubt that Vladimir Putin thinks that the relevant 10% that remains is anything he's willing to give up on. This is about land. He also doesn't want European forces on his border. That's part of the security guarantee. I'll bet that's a poison pill for him. I haven't seen them say anything different over the course of the last 6 to 8 months. I think in the end, Vladimir Putin's going to need to be hit with a lot bigger stick before he's prepared to actually come to the negotiating table in a serious way and do the simple thing of laying down his weapons and stop this aggression, the killing of Ukrainian children, Christians in Ukraine, all the things we've seen for what is now just, almost the last 4 years.
Yeah, I think that's the key piece of this, Mr. Secretary, because we can get nice words out of the U.S. side and the Ukrainian side and talk about, land deals and security guarantees. All of that, to me, seems moot if the forces that started the war, i.e. Russia, have no interest in seeking peace. I mean, there's one thing to talk about actions.
Yeah.
I think even in words, we don't really get very much from the Russians about wanting to end the war that they started. How does that change? What's the bigger stick you're talking about?
Guy, in these things, history would suggest that that they break, and you don't know when, so you can't anticipate the day. Just like the fall of the Berlin Wall, you could see this in lots of history. Perhaps the Russians are closer to breaking than we can see, but your point is very well taken. Neither their rhetoric, their words, nor their actions, the strikes in Ukraine, give any indication that they're remotely interested in giving up anything, any concession whatsoever. The way this ends is when the Ukrainians continue to do the necessary, defend themselves, and also make deep strikes against Russian military assets. So think oil fields, think refineries, think munitions plants, think all of the things that build out their war machine and have been built up so dramatically over these last 4 years. I saw reporting that suggests that some 15 to 20% of the Russian energy infrastructure has been destroyed or has been taken offline. It will be those kinds of things that ultimately convince Putin that the benefit of peace is greater than the cost of continuing. Almost 1 million Russians casualties. Think about that. 145 million or so people in Russia. That's half the size of the United States. So the equivalent of 2 million American casualties would be the rough number. My state of Kansas is about two-thirds. That's about two-thirds the size of the state of Kansas. The math is getting worse for him. I suspect it's going to have to get a lot worse, and the Ukrainians are going to have to stay at it. And the Europeans, Guy, are going to have to continue to provide the support so that they can do that.
Mr. Secretary, very quickly, President Trump, Prime Minister Netanyahu meeting today. What are you looking for there?
I think Prime Minister Netanyahu is going to say the obvious to President Trump. The Iranians aren't going away either. Hamas isn't going to lay down its weapons peacefully. Hezbollah is not going to stop being a terrorist organization. And the regime in Iran is going to try to rebuild everything that President Trump destroyed back in Operation Midnight Hammer. I think he's going to lay out those facts. And I think he's going to make the case that continued vigilance and indeed perhaps military strikes will be necessary. Okay, we've seen this before. If you walk away from these problems, the bad guys aren't going to change, and the good guys, the Israelis, the Americans, our Gulf Arab partners, all need to put pressure on Tehran so they can't rebuild against all the work that's been done under President Trump's leadership this past 12 months.
Mike Pompeo, Mr. Secretary, good to see you.
Yeah, I think Trump really has his hands full. You have to admit, this is really a lot for any one president. And they had up just some of the wars that Trump had claimed that he had ended. But this is one of the most difficult wars between Putin and Ukraine. And this is going on and on. And I know people, they want United States to continue funding this and supporting this, but there's always an end game. There's always an end game, and I believe that it's coming close. It's coming soon, because we can't afford the war. We can't afford for it to continue. Neither can Russia. Neither can Ukraine. They talk about Russia lost like 1 million people. How many did Ukraine lose? 1 million plus as well. No one is winning. No one's winning this war. I really believe that both countries are losing at this point. There's no winners in this. And the longer they fight, the more casualties, the more lives are lost, the more land is lost, the more destruction. And who's going to fund the rebuilding? Not us. Not us. Who's going to build it back? They're going to have to find some of them billions of dollars that Zelenskyy got hidden under his mattress, because the United States is tapped out of money, because we're not even taking care of our own citizens at this point. We're spending more abroad and for other countries trying to help everyone else, when we have to dig ourselves out of this deficit that we're in. We got to reduce it. You know what? It's amazing. It doesn't matter. Like, I know people here from all over the world, and you can't win in these conversations. We're not going to fight Ukraine's war. We're not going to fight their war. We have been supportive. That's our taxpayer dollars. If you work and you're American, you help fund the Ukraine war. You're helping. There have been Americans that have went over there and have fought and died for that country. We have over 240,000 Ukrainians that are living here in the United States that immediately got put on our welfare. Okay? They came over here and we're taking care of them. So we're doing everything that we can for the country. And it's not on the United States' shoulders. It's not all on our shoulders. We're not allies to Ukraine, but we're involved because Trump is the type of president that he would like to see them in the war, because he's concerned about all the lives that are being lost. So that's what he says, why he cares. But he doesn't have to do anything. There's nothing in our Constitution, nothing saying that Trump has to be involved in helping them in the war. Are you aware of that? He doesn't have to do it. He doesn't have to be called a lie. He doesn't have to be called in. He doesn't have to do one damn thing. He doesn't. He has a lot of problems here in the United States that, as a citizen, that we want him to take care of. Because irregardless, whether you voted for him or not, or President Biden or not, when we have our presidents, they have an obligation to the American citizens to do what's right by us. We're not electing them to take care of the rest of the world. We're electing our officials to take care of our national problems. That's why we vote for these people for president and vice president and these national offices, like in Congress, in the Senate, and the House. So we have no obligation to them. And I think people take the United States for granted. They start calling the president names. They start calling our citizens names. They start fussing at us like they're entitled, like there's some sort of entitlement. Don't they understand that we are helping? We're helping. You're supposed to say thank you. Thank you, America. Thank you, Americans. Thank you for supporting us. But instead, we get these people that come on these lives and come on chats, and they on Twitter and they saying all these things except for thank you. We don't have to help you. We're not obligated to you. Your country has nothing to do with the United States of America. So I'm tired of all the grief and all the disrespect that we receive as Americans when we speak on this. It's our money that's been supporting the country. It's our elected officials that have been over there trying to negotiate peace off of our taxpayer dollars, might I add. We could just say, oh, well, throw our hands up. Y'all got this. We could have said that from day one instead of funding and sending over $350 billion. We could have been said that's on them. We're not allies to Ukraine. Let's have that understanding. Every time Trump invites Zelenskyy to the White House and our president takes the time to have a conversation with him and get to know him, get to understand him, because the first meeting, Trump couldn't stand him. If y'all remember, he felt like that Zelenskyy was at the little kid's table making all these big dog demands standing behind the United States of America. And he had to let him know, you're nothing without us. And that was true. So everyone that got something to say, they need to be saying thank you, Americans, for supporting us. And as American citizens, we know that we need this war to end for your sake, not ours, because we can step away. That's the truth. I'm tired of seeing people with these negative comments and things like that, like we owe you. We don't owe Ukraine a damn thing, but they owe us a freaking thank you. And y'all should be grateful. This is not our war. It's not our war. It's your war. And you want to talk about President Trump? At least, at the very least, y'all want to talk about him and he's Putin this and that. At least he's trying to do something. At least he's trying to end it for whatever reason. It needs to end for your sake. He can the best thing that he can do, I guess, to satisfy everyone, maybe he needs to step away and pay attention to our citizens, United States of American citizens, because it seems like he's being pulled by the world to handle all these wars, all these problems everywhere. We need our president here. He's all we have right now. We have one president every 4 years. So right now, that's who we have. That's who we have. We got Trump. So whether you like him or not, whether you agree with him or not, what was former President Biden doing to prevent this from happening, stopping it from happening? What were they doing? Why? You know, when something goes on for years, it's hard to end this now. It's hard. Because now Putin got his feet underneath his legs and he thinks he's making traction and he don't have to stop. It's all up to him. It's not even up to Zelenskyy. And it certainly isn't up to us. Trump is just a mediator. So I think when y'all want to talk about President Trump, and this is like CNN, they saying what Trump need to do. Fox News is saying what Trump need to do. BBC, Forward Breaking News, everyone has something to say about something that we don't even have to be involved in. And I think people need to start showing more respect to Americans and what we have done It's like all our hard work and labor is being sourced out to the rest of the world. Where was our help when they were cutting SNAP benefits for 42 million Americans during our government shutdown? Because our government needs money, but we're sending money across the world. We don't have money to send to anyone else at this point. Are you kidding me? We can't pay our own bills. The Bank of America is closed. So Trump is like, look, I'm trying to help y'all, trying to negotiate, trying to bring everyone to the table, trying to have y'all talking. This has nothing to do with the United States, but I care because millions of people are losing their lives on a monthly, weekly basis, and I like to see the killing stopped. So the suggestion should be is America needs to step away. Is that the solution? America needs, let Russia and Ukraine handle their own business and the EU. Let them handle their business. America is not obligated to Ukraine. Get the memo. We need to just step away because the respect isn't there. We need to step away and let them work it out. They are grown men. They are leaders in their own countries. President Trump is mediating. He needs to step away and let them handle it because you can't win with this. If you help, they got something to say. If you don't help, they have something to say. But America is broke. We already, like I said, had our own shutdown. And guess what? If the government doesn't come to some sort of agreement with this health care, that millions of people are going to be kicked off of health care, guess what? We're going to have another shutdown in the January. The government's going to shut down again. So I think we have big problems here. So we're having government shutdown because of health care, because of food insecurities and things like that. That should tell the rest of the world we don't have money to keep funding these wars. We fund Gaza, Israel. We fund all these different wars from Ukraine. We're funding, different wars. We don't have the money to continue to do this, especially, America is printing money right now. And when you print money, the dollar is being devalued right now. People around the world are buying gold. They're like, the dollar is losing value. So it's not worth what it used to be worth. You got people coming out of college and young people are not going to be able to afford homes. Now they're talking about a 50-year mortgage that you'll be paying for a house for the rest of your life. And the interest, if that house, say the house was $200,000, by the time you finish paying for it, you don't pay $800,000 for the house. If you live that long, but these long mortgages that they're talking about, we have our own issues that we have to work out. And I think that Trump, for whatever reason, he doesn't have to do what he's doing. Biden didn't say one word and nobody said a damn thing. No, y'all, ain't nobody saying nothing about Biden not trying to stop the war. Nobody said anything about Kamala not trying to stop the war. Nobody said anything that Putin and Ukraine and Vladimir and Zelenskyy were not speaking. Nobody was communicating. Nobody said a damn thing. Why not? Why not? But everybody got something to say that they're framing right now. Zelenskyy and them, the framework is done, almost a 95% completion for peace talks. But the whole thing is, will Putin agree? Putin has to agree. So they're going to have to come to the table. And Trump is like, look, they've been trying to bring them together. He has not met with Zelenskyy yet. And if they don't agree, then what America eventually is going to have to step away from this. It's going to happen. Not because we want to, because there's nothing else we're going to be able to do. If they don't want to talk, they don't want to end the war, they don't want to compromise, there's nothing else we're going to be able to do. And Trump most definitely is not giving them no Tomahawks missiles. That's not going to happen. We need our missiles for whatever might come our way. lurking in the waters like China and Taiwan right now. So, what is it that you guys want Trump to do? Let's see the polling. Will President Putin agree to end the war? Still, let's see. What's that? 16%, 18% says yes, and 3% says no, and 19% say maybe. So 63% of the people, they don't think that Putin's going to want to end the war. And that was with 441 people voted on that. And I don't think Putin's going to want to end the war. Neither. Maybe he might fool us. But I don't care what kind of plan Zelenskyy and the EU come up with. He's doing it. Zelensky's doing it in his favor. I know Putin's not going to go along with that. They're going to have to sit down with Putin and they're going to have to compromise. If not, Zelensky's going to lose more land for Ukraine. More structures are going to be destroyed. More lives are going to be lost on both sides. Both sides. Both sides. And the United States is saying the only other thing they can do is that we're giving all the money we can give. We're trying to negotiate. We're trying to end it. The only thing we could do is do sanctions. Put more sanctions. So I don't know. But I don't see it coming to an end. And they're meeting again. And now, how do you think Putin's reacting that it said that his house was bombed? I mean, they tried to bomb his house, but they shot down the missiles. What do you think that's doing for Putin? Zelenskyy says 95% of the peace framework is completed. Do you believe that? On his side, that's not Putin. They both have to do a plan to be completed. That's what they're doing. Putin's not going to let them put something in their faces. Okay, yeah, I agree. I don't see it happening. And this is one of the Russian leaders. I know, let's see, they're probably going to have voiceover. And this is like Putin, one of his number one man. And this is what he's saying.
Lavrov addressed the situation on Monday, December 29th, saying, "On the night of December 28th to 29th, 2025, the Kyiv regime launched a terrorist attack using 91 long-range strike unmanned aerial vehicles on the state residence of the president of the Russian Federation in the Novgorod region. All UAVs were destroyed by our air defense systems. There were no reports of casualties or damage from UAV debris. We would like to point out that this attack took place during intensive negotiations between Russia and the United States to resolve the Ukrainian conflict." Lavrov continued, "Such reckless actions will not go unanswered. The targets for retaliatory strikes by the Russian armed forces and the timing of their implementation have already been determined. At the same time, we do not intend to withdraw from the negotiating process with the United States. However, given the complete degeneration of the criminal Kyiv regime, which has shifted to a policy of state terrorism, Russia's negotiating position will be reconsidered." He emphasized that while Russia remains engaged in talks with the United States, Kyiv's actions represent a significant escalation. "The attack on the president's residence is a clear demonstration of state terrorism by the Kyiv regime," Lavrov said, adding that Moscow is prepared to respond decisively if necessary. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has denied the accusation, calling it false and suggesting that Russia may use this claim as a pretext to target government buildings in Kyiv. It remains unclear whether President Vladimir Putin was at the residence at the time of the attempted drone strike. Lavrov's statements underline Moscow's warning that its military and diplomatic approach will now be reassessed, even as negotiations on a potential Ukrainian peace deal continue.
Yeah, so that's like one of his leaders. And the thing about it is that whatever happens in the future, it's going to happen. And I think at this point, because this is like a no-win situation, and I'm not making excuses for anyone. I am not a negotiator. I'm an American citizen, and I have my own opinion about what's going on. And that's all it is, just like you have your own opinion. Like has to be an end game. to all of this. And it's going to get to the point that you have so many people that don't appreciate help from America, that America is going to need to step away and allow these countries to handle their own business, because it's to the point we've done all that we could do. And just like to hear like some of the, the responses and just the tone, like we owe Ukraine more or we owe Ukraine something. We don't owe Ukraine anything. What we're trying to do is bring this to an end so that they can go on with their lives, rebuild their country, and get Putin off their back. That's what they're trying to do right now. But you have people that's so ignorant to it. We're not going to have a World War III for Ukraine. We're not going to send American citizens over there. Trump wants them to stop fighting because all the lives that are needlessly being lost. They're going out there fighting like this. Ukrainians want the war to end. Russians want the war to end. Everybody wants the war to end except for the leaders. It has to come to an end. And if people can't show respect to all that we're trying to do as Americans, all the support that's been given all these years to Ukraine, and people still say, give me more, do more, give me more, Trump this, Trump that. Oh, well, he needs to step away. Let them handle it then. It's not our fight. American citizens, we're not focused on Ukraine. We're focused on our jobs and the interest rates and job security and food. We're focused on, we have other needs that we're focusing on as American citizens. We're not focused on what's happening in your country. We have a lot of problems here. Everybody knows there's a long list of problems that are happening here in the United States of America right now. We are not problem free. And we have to do something about a $38 trillion deficit. The only other country that comes close with a deficit like ours is Japan. And theirs is only 15 trillion. Ours is $38 trillion. Who's bailing out the United States of America? Who's rushing to help us when we need help? Who's sending resources to the United States for our citizens? We've helped everyone else, but nobody sends help to the United States of America. Everybody hear about the fires and the floods and the hurricanes and the devastations and all the things that happen here. Nobody comes to aid the United States of America, but when disasters happen around the world, we're there. So it's time to give back. But whatever our government decides, because it's their decision, it's not the United States citizens. We elect people to represent us that are in Congress. Right now, they do want to take more actions. And Trump is trying to negotiate. They want to do more sanctions and things like that. That's our government that's doing it. And we're not controlling that. What we can do as citizens, we call our elected officials and we tell them what we want them to do or how we want them to vote. That's our part. It's our votes. That's all we can do. And we're not, so focused on what's happening in your country when we have our own problems in our own country. That's just a realization for everyday citizens in every country. Chinese countrymen in China, they're not spending every day worrying about what's happening here. UK is not worrying about what's happening in Switzerland. It's like everybody's focusing on their own leadership in their own countries. We're not focused on you guys like that. Like you think we're supposed to be. We're not. We're just living our lives, trying to go to work, pay our bills, take care of our families and kids, have a better future for them, better economy, better jobs, low inflation. Those are the things that are important to us. And have a government that's for all the people, and that will be one nation under God and represent all their citizens. That's what we want. So anyway, you guys, I'm going to jump off because I have a sports show to do too called Speak the Sports. Y'all can jump over there. I talk about NFL, football. That's the fun stuff. And I talk about basketball, NBA basketball, college football. So I just started the channel. So go over there and subscribe because I need 50 subscribers to go live. It's a brand new show that I'm doing, but I love sports, and everything is not all about politics, but I believe that everyone should be informed. And we're not experts. We're everyday people. We are not, the congressman, congresswoman. We're not the president of the United States, but we are citizens of the United States of America. And we have opinions, and because that's our freedoms here. And you can agree to disagree. We don't all agree nobody agrees with anyone about everything. Nobody, even people that got something to say, nobody agrees with you about everything that come out of your mouth. They don't. Try talking to your neighbors or your job and co-workers and your family. They do not agree with everything you say. That's a fact. And neither do we. But you're entitled to your own opinion. And that's what we have here. And what else we have as Americans, we have the capability to vote for our elected officials. And don't forget to go to my other channel, Pray to All Here, because I'm a Christian. And God is first in our life. And I see, we don't lack any good thing because our help coming from God. And God is good. He said we will not lack any good thing from them that walk uprightly. So as long as you focus on God and you know God is your help, He's your provider, you don't have to worry about everyday needs, because He provides all our needs according to His riches and glory through Christ Jesus. So we have never lacked any good thing. God is good. And He's good to my entire family, all of us, my extended family. We all have always done extremely well because we're a God-fearing family and we know who our provider is. So if you don't know who Jesus is, you don't know who God is, then give your life to Christ. Pray for your family, pray for your children, and just believe that God is, that He's a good God and that He will answer your prayers. But you have to have faith in God. You have to have faith, because God, you can talk to anyone and say anything you want to them, but God looks at your heart. Like people can say, they come to you, they can lie in your face, but you can't lie to God. He sees everything. He knows everything. There's nothing hidden from Him. When you think you're in a room by yourself, can't nobody see you, God sees you. God sees everything that you're doing, have done, and will do. He knows it all, the beginning and the end. So while you're here, just give your life to Christ, because you don't want to stand before God and someone told you that the only way that you're going to go to heaven is through the Son. You have to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. That God said in John 3:16, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever shall believe in Him shall not perish but have everlasting life. That's how much God loves us. And you have to, you have to believe that it's more than just you. And if you don't know who God is, wait till your next crisis hit and man is not there to help you. That's when you call on God. When your life is at stake, when, that's when you start believing who God is. But you don't want to learn the hard way. So anyway, you guys, just stay prayed up. We get ready to go into a new year. If you don't come back before New Year's Eve, if I don't do a live, I'm going to do probably a live New Year's, the first day. Welcome in a new year, new beginnings. Have a goal, because time goes by so fast. So have a goal stepping into next year. Don't wait to lose weight. Don't wait to hit the gym. Don't make all these, promises that you're not going to keep. Just try to have a goal, and you need to journal, because I realize that life goes by so fast. If you are not committed to do something, then it's not going to get done. That year just go by and you won't get it done. So be committed. Start on day one. Be committed to your family. Be committed to whatever it is that you need to do, be committed to helping others, being committed to be nicer. If that's the only thing you do, be committed to being a better person. Be more understanding, giving grace to people. That's the least you can do. And that doesn't cost you anything. Say something nice. It's easy to be nasty and mean. That's easy to, for people to do. But how about making someone's day? Say, oh, you look nice today, or your dress is not, oh, that's a nice suit you have on. That goes a long way to build people confidence up. And you can't come on lie. Don't do any kind of lies or on YouTube. You can't stand 10 toes down. You have to know you're the apples of God's eye, and you're perfectly and wonderfully made. So anyway, you guys, stay blessed. Thanks for joining us. I'll probably jump on here tomorrow. I came on late. I like really coming on. I want to be consistently doing my Speak the Truth 2.0. Like at least 3 to 4 days a week is what I do. But I want to give it a time. Like do it like no later than 4 o'clock, Monday through Friday, or at least 3 or 4 days a week, that I'm gonna come on around 4, because it looks like that's really a good time to come on before people get tired and they settle down. But I had a lot to do, a lot of running around, so I don't really like coming on late, even though I stay up late, but I got another show to do that's fun. But you got to talk about stuff. That's why this is called Speak the Truth 2.0. And I understand these conversations are difficult, they hard. People get upset because they be in their feelings, they be sensitive and emotional and all that. And some things are hard truths, like it needs to end. Either you want them to help or you don't want them to help. But the United States cannot continue to foot the cost of the war. We can't. We're in debt. So we wish them the best of luck. I hope it comes to an end. I hope there's agreement. I hope this war is settled. I hope that we can live in peace. That's all we can do is hope. We want the best for the Ukrainians. We want the best for the Russians. They didn't ask for this war. Some family members, they probably have in both countries, and they're fighting against each other. So you got to pray for them. Pray for peace, and peace in the Middle East. Pray for all these places that are dealing with wars and everything. War is a terrible thing. But pray that, that Trump can go around and end as many wars as he can. He says he's ending. I like to see some of these other people that say he's not ending wars. Let some of these other leaders jump in. Let them end some wars. It's not just about Trump. Let other people help end these wars from these other nations and and countries. Let them end it. So anyway, you guys, thanks. Let me see what you say. Yeah. This is Russia for both sides. Oh wow, I didn't hear that one before. Ukraine should join Russia better for both sides. How many of you guys agree with that? How can the U.S. continue to foot the bill for the war, when you don't currently give any money to Ukraine? Yeah. Currently, we've already given all the money we could give to Ukraine. We got money problems. What Jay-Z say? We got 99 problems already of our own, and that's not one of them. We can't continue to give them money. We've already given them money. We have no more money for you. Thank you, Emma. Praise God. Yeah, they're right. That's right. Hardware learning is tough. Thank you, you guys. But thank you, you guys. All I can say is the United States is doing the best we can. And that's all you can ask of us. Like I said, it's not our war. It's not our problem. And we're trying to help. And we have been helping. And even though we're not currently giving more money, because we gave all the money we can give, our president is trying to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. He's trying to do something. And that's all you can ask for anyone to do. So anyway, you guys, God bless. Don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe. Love you guys. And like coming into the new year, the show's going to be more polished. It's going to be more polished because this has been just a learning for me. We've had over 17 million people that have joined us on Speak the Truth 2.0 that have tuned in. We have over 35,000 subscribers, and I want to say thank you to all you guys. This is a new channel. We've only been doing this like a little over a year now, and it's a lot of stuff. Like, I haven't been on as much because I'm trying to learn how to do YouTube. I'm trying to learn how to do this. But one thing that no matter how much I learn, I want to be authentic and be true and to be honest. That's the most important things to me. I don't like coming on here fake and everybody use teleprompters and they use scripts and stuff like that. That I just come on and I just, try to I'm just, like people say, yeah, I am talking, but it's not a front. It's not fake. And I'm not on this side or that side. I'm independent. That's what I am. And when people say things, that's because people are emotional and sensitive, and they have to learn how to channel it into more of a, being more positive. And hopefully going in the new year, some adults will grow up, because we have adults that come on this channel, because I look at like the age bracket, it's not like a lot of kids. And a lot of people that be saying all kinds of cuckoo stuff, they're grown folks. I'm talking about mature grown folks are talking like they're children. So I expect more, because it's like, we do get like, I think 18 to 24, but it's a small amount. Like each category is a small amount, but it's older people, like I said, over like 25 that comes on this channel and on up. So anyway, you guys, y'all, God bless you. I hope y'all had a Merry Christmas. I hope all is well in your family. I hope that if you have any type of ailment, whatever, that just believe that Jesus was wounded for your transgressions. He was bruised for your iniquities. The chastisement of his peace was upon him. And with your stripes, you were healed. So he's already died for you. And your healing is he's already healed you. But you have to believe it. You have to receive it, because God is real. And my own family members, like, you could pray people to the point that they don't leave this earth. God can restore people's health, and you have to believe that. He's a healer. He's a healer. We've had things happen in my family, and it was prayer that kept them here. Prayer changes things. Prayer is real. So anyway, you guys, I love you. God bless you. Look for us tomorrow. Peace out.